Hey everybody, Plav here connecting to you from UB Central, and today I'll be helping my buddy Brett out by bringing you guys some Rainbow Six Siege news from IGN's recent interview with game designer Andrew Witz. So Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege was unveiled back in June at E3 2014 and featured multiplayer gameplay on the one map called House. In the interview, when asked about other environments for the final game, Witz assured us that given that Rainbow Six is an international intervention group that operates all around the world, we should have a variety of diverse locations, each one being plenty different from House, which was picked to highlight how exciting the game's intricate CQC gameplay can be. Rainbow Six has been around since 1998. When asked about ties to previous installments, Witz said that Siege is going to be its own branch from the previously established Rainbow lore, and that they, quote, want players to feel invited to play inside the Rainbow Six universe without the previous games being mandatory for entry. Furthermore, Witz talks about how the game was spawned out of an in-depth study that looked at the Rainbow series at its core in terms of both fantasy and gameplay. Rainbow Six Fantasy is about being part of the greatest counter-terrorist organization and impersonating the best of the best operations, working as a team and carrying out dangerous operations. Each operation the players will be facing are sieges, situations where two sides are confronting each other. Attackers are trying to breach and overwhelm the defenders, who are trying to hold it off by laying fortifications and traps and creating an impenetrable stronghold. Next, the interview moves on to discussing the game's free lean system. Witz says that the lean feature was prominent when they did their in-depth study of the franchise and played a very integral part of the gunplay in previous games. That was the case not only because it allowed players to peek around corners, but because it gives the player total control over their positioning. Knowing when and how to use the lean mechanics was an important core skill that players needed to master in order to truly excel in combat, both in scenarios versus AI and competitive game modes. So realizing this, Witz and the team knew that they had to integrate their own mechanic into Siege and make it feel as comfortable as possible to the players. And that's where the free lean system comes into play. You, the player, will have total control over your line of sight at all times, whether that be when you're standing, prone, or rappelling. You won't ever be sucked into and stuck in an automatic lean, and same goes for cinematic animations. For example, if you're setting up a wall reinforcement, you can cancel that animation and jump right back to your gun. Something that was seen in the E3 gameplay and is obviously being featured as a new facet of the game is destruction. When asked about it, Witz explained that with weapons being the primary method of interaction in a shooter, it's natural that they would enable destructive tactics even if that's not their ultimate purpose. He puts it that weapons and destruction have kind of a reciprocal relationship, that being that weapons create destruction while destruction creates tactical gameplay for the weapons. He also adds that it's important to note that there are also several other tools that serve destruction, such as breach charges and C4, just to name a few. The IGN interviewer then asks about the pistol, which every player has, and questions how practical it is given its quick rounds and inability to cause destruction. Witz agreed that most players tend to stick to their primary weapon for the majority of the game, but points out that some players have enjoyed using their pistol in scenarios such as when an enemy is pretty far away and you're armed with a shotgun. He also mentions how there are situations where the players have to use their pistols, such as escorting the hostage to safety, which, according to Witz, was made this way to put players into high-risk, tense situations when planning their escape route. Next, we learned that all game modes will be 5v5, as it was found to work best in terms of giving players a tight team play experience where communication and cooperation is vital to success on both attack and defense. And then kind of an interesting tidbit here, we learned that the game's location-specific damage modeling includes what I'm just going to eloquently call shots to the groin area. And finally, one quick last thing we also gleaned from the interview is that the team is experimenting with modes that don't use a round timer. So we'll just have to wait and see if any such modes actually make it into the game past all the testing. So there you have it. Hope you guys found some of this interesting, as it's sort of the first time since E3 that we've got any really solid info on the game, which doesn't have a release date yet other than the year 2015, which is this year. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to check out my own channel, 3plav3, which is where I make all sorts of Halo videos, including the one you see here on the right. I hope to talk to you guys here on this channel again soon. So once again, this has been Plav, and I'll catch you all later.